Clap Tribe, welcome back to my channel. This is Conjured Coco, all things witchy, all things spiritual, where it's always a mood and a vibe. Y'all ready? Because I'm ready, and we about to get into some things, okay? So, before I even do this video, let me go on ahead and light my Palo Santo, baby, because this story time is very heavy. It's very heavy. On my channel, previously and now, I feel like for the most part, I try to keep it, nice and easy breezy. I try to keep, it's a vibe. It's always a mood and a vibe. You know what I'm saying? I try to keep it light. However, on tonight's episode, we're going to get into some really deep things because I feel like there needs to be more awareness brought to this topic. Because it's important for women, for Black women, even for men, because there's a lot of men that are dealing with this situation as well, and it's just not really spoke about very often. So before I even get into anything, all my information or anything you need to know about me can be found in the description box down below or on my about page. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and also hit the notification bell so that you're notified anytime that I upload. If you're watching this, then my law of assumption video is probably already up. If it is not, then it will be soon, so just be on the lookout for that. I'm trying to mentally prepare myself to even speak about this situation because I've never spoken about this publicly. I've barely even spoken about it to some of the people that are in my life because, again, it was very heavy, it was very traumatic, but it's important. So let me go ahead, and before I even get into anything, I feel like I said that already, but before I really get into it, I'm going to give a trigger warning. If you weren't able to tell already by the title of this video, it is going to be about domestic violence. If that is something that triggers you or could possibly trigger you, then you might want to click off this video and come back and holla at me on another one, okay? I'm fully aware that this video probably won't get monetized by YouTube, which I really don't care about because I'm not doing this particular video to make a profit. I just feel like it's something that needs to be talked about, something that needs to be shared, and that's just what it is. So I know there's a lot of things that you can't say, or you have to say in a specific way on YouTube in order to not get flagged or whatever, but I'm going to say it however it comes to me. However it comes out is how it comes out, and that's just what it is, right? So, trigger warning for those. I took like a little bit of notes, but for the most part, everything is coming straight from my head, straight from my heart. So now that I've gotten the trigger warning portion out of the way, I want to give a few disclaimers, okay? If you are one of those people that still live by the whole what goes on in this house stays in this house, I'm going to need you to go ahead and click off because I'm probably going to offend you, and that's okay. So I'm going to need you to click off. This video is probably not going to resonate with you, and that's okay. That is okay. Yeah, I'm not saying that you should blast your business on social media and tell everybody who's willing to listen. But if you are one of those people that live by the code of, what goes on in this house stays in this house, and it's detrimental to yourself, or if you have children, if it's detrimental to your children, please go ahead and click off this video, please and thank you. If you are somebody that thinks domestic violence is cute, or any type of abuse for that matter is cute, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and click off this video. If you are one of those people, this is the one. If you're one of those people that are more mad about a situation coming to the light, or you're more mad about people finding out about the situation instead of the situation actually occurring. I hope that makes sense. I'm gonna need you to click off this video. Like, if you're somebody who gets mad because people found out instead of being mad about the situation happening in the first place, there we go. I'm gonna need you to click off. Thanks. If you are somebody that coddles any type of abuser, mentally, physically, sexually, emotionally, any type of abuse, if you are somebody that coddles the abuser, oh, they didn't mean it, oh, what did you do? I'm going to need you to click off of this video. For somebody, this is the last one. I got a couple more, but I'm going to keep it cute because I want to get into the story time, and I don't want this video to be super, super lengthy or any longer than I know that it's going to be, right? If you're one of those people that will ask the question, oh, well, what did you do, or what did you say, or you're a victim blamer, yeah, I'm gonna need you to click off. I'm definitely gonna offend you. Yeah, so those are the trigger warnings, those are the disclaimers. I still haven't, this is like a sidebar, I haven't figured out the lighting situation completely. I'm working on it, but that's not even the focus in this video. I didn't even think that I was going to ever talk about this situation publicly, because again, it was very traumatic, it was life-changing, it was a lot, it was very heavy. But here I am. And what brought this on was I was watching a YouTuber that I follow, and she goes by the name of Bondi Blue. Love me some Bondi Blue. And she has a series on YouTube that's called Now That We're Grown. And it's where she reviews, movies that we might have seen as kids and didn't really know nothing about, or we see them as, young adults or teenagers, and she gives her opinions now, versus how she may have felt, or the things that she noticed back then when she first watched the movie. So definitely go check her out. Love me some Bondi Blue. She covers a lot of other things, but I really tune in for the Now That We're Grown series. So go check her out. Yeah, but I was watching her today, and she did, the video that she reviewed today was Enough. And Enough is one of my favorite Jennifer Lopez movies. My first favorite is Selena. Anything for Selena. But yeah, I've seen the movie Enough a million times. My favorite part is when Sus gets her self-defense on, and she does what she needs to do to that man, and he deserved every bit of it. Okay? So, she was reviewing Enough, and again, I've seen that movie a million times. I've seen other people review it, but something just stirred in my spirit today after I watched it, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk about my situation, and I'm setting the intention that it finds whoever it needs to find, and it helps whoever it needs to help, because again, this topic is very important. She was hitting on some real key points, and I was going to write them down, but the video is probably about 2 hours long, but it's definitely worth the watch, so go check her out. One of the things that she said in the video, and it was actually one of my disclaimers, was that there are a lot of people that get more mad about an abusive situation getting out than the fact that the actual abuse is taking place, and I just, for the life of me, cannot understand that. Okay. She also said that a lot of us were programmed to believe a lot of toxic things, and I absolutely believe that. As kids, as teenagers, whatever, a lot of us either seen toxic things, and I'm not saying all, because everybody's life is different, but the girls that get it, and the girls that don't, right? So a lot of us were programmed to believe a lot of these toxic things, to stay in these abusive relationships or situationships, on the strength of history, on the strength of the kids, on the strength of just things that don't matter at the end of the day, and nothing that is worth your life. So yeah, let me just get into the story time before I go off on my little tangent, and I'll, at the end of the video or at the end of the story time, I'll really get into how I feel now, where I'm at today, and all of those things. But me watching that video, never really realizing that movie can definitely be extremely triggering, because it never had really triggered me before, because I'm one of those people that, like, I root for the underdog. I hate bullies. And so watching that movie, from one perspective, I'm seeing this underdog who, while yes, made a lot of not so great decisions, at the end she came out on top. You know what I mean? And that's the way that I looked at it. But today, when Bondi broke things down, I was just like, wow, this is very triggering, and it made me feel like I needed to talk about this situation. So yeah, let's get into it. So the relationship started probably like 2012. Prior to that, we were friends. I don't know if I had mentioned this already, but this story time is about how my ex tried to unalive me. We're going to call this ex Crazy. And we're only giving this person a name because, child, I got a whole series of story times, and it just makes it easier. So if and when I do another story time about this person, I'll say their name and you'll know who I'm talking about without giving up their identity, because even though there's no respect there's no love, there's none of that at all, I still don't believe in doxing people, outing people, none of that stuff. I'm not trying to get my channel taken down. I'm just simply trying to bring awareness to this situation. All right, so we had started off as friends. I remember that I was starting out in massage therapy school, or I was about to graduate from massage therapy school, and we were friends at that time. Yeah, I was in massage therapy school and we were just friends at this time. Closer to when I was getting ready to graduate is when we actually got in a relationship, and I graduated from massage therapy school in like 2012. But this particular story time took place in July of 2018, and I'll never forget it. So I had been in this relationship, this toxic relationship, for about 6 years. And, the entire 6 years wasn't bad. However, a lot of that 6 years was bad. It taught me a lot of things. It was very toxic. It was very draining. I had anxiety and some more stuff, right? So I want to say that it was like the night of July 3rd into the morning of, like, the early mornings, like after midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, of the 4th of July. And me and Crazy were, like, already broken up. We still lived together, but it was like a really awkward situation. Unbeknownst to me at the time, he had already started a new relationship with somebody else. But I didn't know, like, in that moment, or, the night that this happened, I didn't know. Well, I didn't know right away. But we weren't really talking. Like, again, we still lived together, but it would be, for a long time, it was like we lived in the same house, but we didn't speak. We didn't sleep in the same room. There was just nothing. We just existed and coexisted in the same house. So, keeping all of that in mind, since we were broken up or whatever, I was trying to move out and find me an apartment for me and my daughter. And I had never, up until that point, I had never, like, lived on my own, like, had my own apartment, you know what I mean? And so I was finding it to be, like, a little bit of a challenge to find an apartment, because I always told myself, and this is no shade to those that live there or whatever, I grew up there, but I told myself I didn't want to move into the projects at that stage in my life with my daughter. And again, it's no shade, no slight to anybody that currently lives there or whatever. Like I said, I grew up in the projects. But because I grew up in the projects, that's why as a young adult, I didn't want my daughter in that environment. I didn't want to be in that environment. I just didn't. So I was finding it a little bit hard to find an apartment like super, super quick because I wanted to get out. I still like low-key felt like I wanted to keep my family together, which is a mistake I feel like a lot of young people make, or a lot of people in general make. They compromise their happiness, their peace, their values and boundaries, all in the name of keeping a family together. When deep down, you know what it is, right? So anyway, I had told him, I remember telling him like at the beginning of the day, which was probably July 3rd. Yeah, it was July 3rd. And I was like, he hadn't been around the house a lot. Like he was like staying out all night and staying away for days and days and days. And even though I knew that we were like broken up, because we had been together for so long, like, it made me feel away. It made me feel some type of way. And so I remember sending him a text message, or maybe we spoke on the phone. I don't really remember. But I was like, hey, I sent him a text message. I was like, hey, if you're going to be home tonight, do you think we can talk? Can we have a conversation? Like, I'm a communicator, and I've learned that even more about myself. Like, I cannot just, if something's bothering me, I can't just pretend or act like everything's all good, because it ain't, right? So he was like, yeah, that's cool, we can talk, whatever. And I was like, later on tonight. And he said, okay. Now, we weren't in a space where we were telling each other our every move. So that day I had yoga. And, I didn't tell him because for what? You know what I mean? Like, he was doing whatever he was doing, I was doing whatever I was doing. But I had just befriended the neighbors who lived behind us. And we were going to go to yoga. It was called either dark yoga or black yoga. And I loved it because I've mentioned it before, but I live in Pittsburgh, and the view of our city at night is beautiful. So the whole point of black yoga is that it's done at night, and there was all kind of candles around. You had your yoga mat. There was the instructor in the front of the class, whatever. But it's at night, and you can see, like, there were big glass windows in the building, and you could see the view of the city. It was beautiful. And so I was with my neighbors, and I was going to go with them to yoga. So nothing really memorable happened that day, but I got ready for yoga. He still wasn't home when I left. My daughter at this time was visiting with my mom because I knew the energy wasn't right in the house between us. His son wasn't there. But I had my daughter at my mom's house because it was toxic, and it had been for a while, and I wanted her to be around. I didn't want her to be around that environment anymore. His son wasn't there because it was during the week, and his son only came on the weekends. So yeah, it was just going to be the two of us, which is another reason why I wanted to have the conversation, because the kids weren't going to be there, and that was something that was important to me, not allowing them to see the dysfunction and toxicity and all of that, right? So I go to yoga. I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, silent, one of them. And I go to yoga, and it's great. Class is about an hour. And at this time, I didn't drive to the place. Like, I had a car, I had my license. But I was going with my neighbors, and it was downtown. And if you know anything about most major cities, driving in the city is annoying. So I let them drive and take me or whatever. After yoga class, I had looked at my phone and seen I had like 20 plus missed calls and texts and stuff. And I'm like, oh, what the heck's going on? Because, people call me, but like 20 missed calls, 20 plus missed calls. I don't remember the exact number. It could be 20, it could be 50, whatever. I don't have that phone anymore, so I can't even go back and look. Because, I love a good receipt. But, I checked my phone and I see that it was him. He had been calling and texting me. And I didn't get back to him right away because some of the text messages were like crazy, and I just wanted to enjoy my night. I knew I was getting ready to go home and have a conversation with him. I didn't know what it was going to turn into. So I just wanted to enjoy my night. So my neighbors after class was like, we want to go get some salads and smoothies. Do you want to come with us? And I said, yeah, obviously. I didn't really have a choice because they were driving, but they would have took me home if I said I wanted to go home. But instantly off the bat, like when I seen all those missed text messages and calls, my anxiety started to stir up. And I didn't even realize that that's what I was dealing with at the time, anxiety, but like my stomach was upset, my breathing was heavy, my heart was going boop, 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 like it was a whole thing. Like I just felt something, So they go get their salads. I couldn't even eat nothing. Like I just wasn't in the mood to eat because I knew I had to go home and have this conversation. And on my end of things, I just wanted to tell him, hey, I'm having a little bit of a hard time finding a place right now. I just need a little bit more time. Can we just keep things cordial, at least for the sake of the kids until I find a place? I don't want to argue. I don't want to fight. If we're done, we're done. That's cool. Like let's just keep it cool for the kids, That's where I was at with it. Still cared about them, I guess, or at least I thought I cared about them. I don't know. Like I said, fast forward, they get their salads, their food or whatever, and we drive home. I didn't really get too much into my situation of what was going on with those neighbors because we had just, became friends. And I had already had bad experiences being friends with some of the neighbors that lived in the front of the house, telling my business, making up lies, story times for another time, right? So I didn't want to get too deep into things, but they noticed the shift in my energy. Like, yo, you okay? You cool? What's up? And I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I'm just, going to go in the house and have this conversation. I don't know how it's going to turn out, whatever. So we get back, they go in their house, tell me to have a good night. It's all good. I remember walking up to the house, and if you when you just think about a time you did something bad when you were a kid, and like maybe you got a phone call from school or something, and as you're walking up to the house, you feel that dreadful feeling, that anxiety. That's what I felt that night when I was walking into the house. I seen this car was there, and I was just like, oh, fuck. But here we go. So I come in the house and I'm wanting to get comfortable. So I think I had a wig. I definitely had a wig on at the time. So I popped my wig off, girl. I needed to take that off. Took my bra off. I didn't get a chance to take a shower. So I just had like a little camisole, like a little tank top, some leggings. I didn't have like shoes or socks on. It was the summertime. And I want you guys to keep this all in mind because there's a reason that I'm saying all of this, right? I wear glasses. I didn't have contacts at the time, so I had glasses. I took off my glasses. Like I was trying to unwind, but I wanted to have this conversation first. Then I was going to take a shower, and that was going to be the night. So I thought. So he's upstairs in the bedroom. Now, also keep this in mind, like the layout of the house. When you walk in the front door, there's the living room. And then you walk a little bit more, and there is the staircase. If you keep going, there's the dining room. Keep going, there's the kitchen. And then all the way at the back of the house is the bathroom. But at the staircase, you can go straight up the stairs. To the left was our bedroom at the time. And then to the right was, the kids' bedroom. There was his son's bedroom. And then eventually, because they used to share a bedroom, my daughter and his son, like when they were little. But as they got older, we separated them. And so to the right was his son's room. And then up the stairs, like kind of the attic area, but it was like a bedroom, was my daughter's bedroom. Now, again, neither one of the kids were home, thank God. So I come up the steps and I'm like, hey, what's up? already he's thrown off. Already he had snapped or something because I guess he had caught me a million times. Not literally a million, but he had caught me so much. And I didn't answer, obviously, because I was in yoga class. He was already mad, irritated, and you could just tell. And when you're with somebody for so long, or if you've experienced trauma, you kind of, at least this was my experience, I would be able to look at somebody and know if they're upset, or like by their mannerisms, things like that. And with crazy, when he would snap or when he would get into this mood that he was in, one of his eyes would like slant out. And I know that sounds crazy, but literally, I feel like, I don't think that he was ever like diagnosed, but I really think that man had multiple personalities. And whenever he would switch or flip, like his eye would slant a little bit, and that's how I could tell, like, oh man, So I could already see he had that look on his face. He was already just in mode. I'm like, hey, what's up? You ready to talk? And right off the bat, he started just going in. And when you're dealing with, and I learned through therapy that this man was a narcissist, or he had narcissistic tendencies. I believe that he was a narcissist, though. He was just trying to say and do any and everything to hurt me, right? But I was already at a space where I had decided I wasn't allowing that to happen anymore. Like, I wasn't going to let anything that he said or did affect me, because I already knew what it was. I knew what it was given. Like, you want me to give you a reaction, and I'm not doing it. So I still had all the intentions on having this conversation and letting that be. So we're talking, and he called somebody, and I guess they didn't answer or something, but they called right back, and I guess it's the girl that he was dealing with. Now, I didn't care. Like, I didn't give a fuck. But the girl, she called, and I guess it was his way of letting me know that he was with somebody else, because he had changed the ringtone to, I don't know what the song was, but I remember saying, that's my bae, that's my bae, that's my bae, or something like that. And so my back was turned, but I like rolled my eyes like, boy, I don't care. So he picks up the phone and answers. Like, he had never done that before. And he picks up the phone to talk to the girl and was saying whatever he was saying. But he mentioned me. And then he was like, yes, I'm going to call you back. And I think that irritated me and made me feel away, because, if you're dealing with somebody new, that's your business. But don't mention me. Don't, that's how I felt back then. There's no reason why y'all need to be discussing me. And I knew that he did it on purpose, like he wanted a reaction out of me. But, I didn't really say nothing. I just was like, whatever. So I started to tell him what I intended to tell him. Like, hey, I'm still moving out. I just need a little bit more time. I need you to bear with me. Can we just keep it cool for the kids? And like I said, he just was going in, hitting below the belt, saying the most disgusting things. Like, he wished death on my mother. He told me, I hope that your mom is unalive. He said that, now, over the course of our relationship, I think I had been in 2 car accidents. And he was like, the next time you're in a car accident, I hope you're unalive. Your daughter's going to grow up to be a whore just like you, which I wasn't, but he was just saying all of these things. And one thing about a narcissist, and I had to learn that because I didn't know, when you're dealing with a narcissist, if they aren't getting the reaction that they want from you, they're going to keep going and taking it up a notch and taking it up a notch until they get, what they want. And I wasn't giving him anything. I was looking at him stone-faced like, why are you? I'm thinking to myself, why are you saying all of this stuff to me? Like, what is the point? What is this for, So, and even more so in that moment, I was thinking, like, you're saying these things about my daughter. I know she's not biologically yours, but she had been in your life for 6 years. I had helped raise your son for 6 years. Like, they called each other brother and sister. And you're saying these disgusting things about her to get to hurt me. And I could never understand that. So he's saying all these things, and I'm just trying to stick to the conversation, which I should have just left and, went on about my business and talked to his brother, because his brother was our landlord. Keep that in mind, because that's also a key point as well. I don't know. Let me see. Yeah, this video is already kind of lengthy, so it's giving this video is going to be probably an hour long, maybe a little bit longer. I don't know. But if I'm going to tell the story, I'm going to tell the whole story. So, yeah, he's saying all of this stuff to me, and I just was like kind of letting it fly off my back. So in the midst of him saying all this stuff, I just so happened to notice on the dresser, on one of the dressers, there was some school pictures of his son. And I was like, oh, let me get me a picture, because I know he's not going to give me one. And the way he's acting right now, I might be leaving sooner than I had anticipated, because he's acting crazy. Now, yes, I have family and I had some friends at the time, but another thing about dealing with a narcissist or an abuser, period, if you allow it, because again, like I said before, over here, we take accountability. I'm very, very big on accountability. Like, that's just what it is. So all of these things that happened to me, I allowed them to happen to me, right? Because I didn't have to stay. I didn't have to put up with that. And I chose to. That's on me. So yeah, I had family and all of that stuff, but I was isolated from them. And it was easy for him to isolate me from my family, because I had my own personal issues with them, with some friends, because I was a person that, if I had an issue because I didn't like confrontation, and still to this day I don't really like confrontation, but I'm different. So just really quickly, no, I do not condone domestic violence or abuse in any way, shape, or form, but I do condone self-defense, and I also condone fuck around and find out, okay? But yeah, that's who I am today is not who I was then, and I allowed myself to be isolated, and I felt like I didn't have anybody, and so that's what was going on in my life, So anyway, before I get off topic, I was trying to get the picture, and he noticed me getting a picture. No, I'm skipping a part before I even get to that part with the picture. After he was done saying all of those things to me, I just told him, I was just like, yo, you're disgusting. The stuff that you're saying is disgusting, and it's very ugly, and maybe we shouldn't be having this conversation right now, because I feel like you're saying stuff to try to hurt me, and there's no reason for that. And I forget what his response or his reaction was, but that's when I noticed the picture, and I went to go pick the picture up so I could have it for myself, because that was my baby. One thing about it, that wasn't my biological son, but I feel like when you have a blended family, that's what you do. You love your bonus children like they're yours. You treat them like you're yours. Like, you know what I mean? And we were a blended family. So I wanted a picture because I knew I was moving out. He looked so cute in his little pictures or whatever. As I'm going to go pick up the picture, this man hops up because he was sitting on the bed the whole time. Now, the door is here. The bed is here. The dresser is kind of like here. So the dresser, the door, and then the bed is over here. He hops up out the bed and twists. He grabs my arm, I guess so I could drop the pictures. And he twisted my arm so hard that if he would have added any more pressure, he would have broke my arm. So I ended up dropping the pictures, and in that moment, it didn't click to me, run, leave the house, you're in danger, because I had experienced him act a fool before, and he never took it as far as he did that night. So I wasn't immediately like, oh, let me hurry up and get out the house. I was just like, let me leave this fool alone. Let me go do what I was going to do. Fuck the conversation at this point. It is what it is. Like, he can't make me leave. I'm going to just talk to his brother, who's our landlord, and, whatever. But it didn't end right there. So after he let my arm go, he starts pushing me. Now, we didn't have like a hallway upstairs. It was just like when you got to the top of the steps, it was like this square patch of like carpet. And then, like I said, the kids' rooms were to the right and our bedroom was to the left. So he's pushing me into the bedroom door. And at the top of the steps, there was a window. He's pushing me into the window and stuff. So I'm trying to get away and I'm trying to run down the steps. He proceeds to try to push me down the stairs. And I kind of like knew to sit down or try and sit down because I don't know, from watching movies and, you know, whatever else, I felt like if this man is able to successfully push me down the stairs and I'm standing up, I could be really injured. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I try to sit down and I'm like holding on to the one railing and he's like still pushing me so that I could go down the steps. And as I get to the bottom of the steps, I did fall down the last couple. He's right behind me. So I ran in the living room. Remind you, I don't have my glasses on. I didn't have no shoes on. I didn't have no bra on. I was trying to unwind, you know. I couldn't really see. So we're in the living room. I'm trying to find my keys and my glasses so I can get the fuck, okay? At this point. There wasn't even no, I'm gonna just try to stick it out for the night and leave in the morning. No, I was trying to leave after he pushed me down the stairs because I got scared. Like, again, I had seen him act the fool before, but I was scared at this point. Or I started getting scared at this point. So we're in the living room. And now, y'all probably can't tell from the videos, but the people that watch my videos that actually know me in real life, I'm short. I am about 5'3", 5'2", 5'3" and a half, you know. And at that time, I probably was like $140, $150. There was a point in time where I was over 100 pounds or over 200 pounds because I was just super, super depressed. But I began to lose weight because I was also depressed. Funny how that works. So I'm small. This man was 6'3", a couple hundred pounds. So he was a giant compared to me. So he ends up getting on top of me and proceeds to start choking me out, strangling me. And I was terrified at this point because the look in his eyes was literally like snapped. Like the person that I thought I knew that was my friend years and years and years ago wasn't present. I didn't know who that was that night. And as he's choking me, he's saying, you know, you won't leave, so I'm gonna kill you. You're not gonna leave, so I'm gonna kill you. And he was really trying to take me out. I didn't realize how uncomfortable talking about this on camera might be. Like, you know, because again, I've been to therapy. I've since healed from these things, but it's still just going back into that place, remembering who I was, then it's crazy to me, you know? So he's saying that to me, I'm gonna kill you, you won't leave, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you. And, you know, my hands are little. And we have this big, giant man that has both of his hands around my neck. So I'm trying to, like, get his hands off my neck and turn and squirm and move because I felt myself slipping away. Like, that's the easiest way for me to put it. I felt myself slipping away. I couldn't breathe. And he wasn't stopping. So somehow I was able to like twist and get his hands off my neck. And so at that point, I just wanted to get away from him. So I ran back upstairs because in my head, now I know y'all are probably wondering, why didn't you just leave out the door? because I needed to me, in that moment, in my head, my mindset or my thought process was, I need my keys and I need my glasses. Like, in order for me to drive, I can't see without my glasses. So I figured, since they weren't downstairs anywhere that I could see, maybe they were upstairs. So I'm killing two birds with one stone. I'm getting away from him for a quick second, and it's going to give me a chance to get my glasses, possibly my keys, so that I could leave, because I was out. Like, I was out. Like, I'm leaving. He's, again, hot on my trails, but he didn't touch me. He sat on the bed and he opened the nightstand, and he pulls out a gun. A pew-pew. Well, I didn't already said a whole bunch of stuff for this video to not be monetized, so at this point it doesn't even matter. So he pulls out a pew-pew. And my back was kind of turned to him because, again, I'm looking for my keys and I'm looking for my glasses. So he sits on the bed and he has the pew-pew in his hand, and he's like, oh, I know I'm going to jail. I know you're going to call the police on me. Trying to, like, reverse psychology or guilt trip me or whatever. I know that you're going to call the police, and I know I'm going to jail, so I might as well unalive myself. Now, obviously, he didn't say unalive. He said the real word, the K word. But he was like, yeah, I know you're going to call the police on me, and I know, like, I guess he had, like, snapped back or something. But he was like, I know that you're going to call the police on me, so I might as well just unalive myself. And it was at that moment that I turned around to actually look at him to see, like, why, like, how did you go from that downstairs to now you're talking about, like, you're trying to convince me using reverse psychology to not call the police or whatever? Because he was always one of those people that would say little things like, because mind you, he had done this or something similar to other women. Like, I'm talking about one of the women that he had done this to. And I wasn't even fully aware of everything that had happened at the time. But he had disfigured this girl's face, like 2 black eyes. Like, he was definitely one of those men that would hit on women, and his family coddled him. And I don't fuck with that. They coddled him. Especially his mom. But anyway, I turned around to see what he's doing. Just something in me just was like, turn around. So as he said that, you know, I might as well unalive myself, I didn't respond. I just turned around and looked at him. And then that's when he aimed the pew-pew at me. At that moment, I said, fuck those keys, fuck those glasses, I gotta get out of here, or I'm gonna die in this house tonight. So I run down the stairs. I didn't even turn around to see if he was chasing me or not. I ran down the stairs and I ran out the front door. I didn't have on no shoes or nothing, Jesus. That was like, I think that was a meme or something from back in the day. And this is not funny at all. This situation is not funny. Clearly, if you're watching me tell this story, you can visibly see that it's uncomfortable. But, you know, I like to try to break up the tension, if you will. So I run out the house. I didn't have on those shoes. I didn't have on my glasses. I didn't have my keys. I did have my cell phone in my hand because at one point he had threw my cell phone and he broke it. But I didn't know at the time that it was broke. I just thought that it was dead because the screen was all black, like completely black, like if your phone dies. So I didn't know that it was broken, but I had my phone in my hand, and because I was calling the police. I didn't care what type of, you know, reverse psychology that he tried to use, or like, you know, like I said before, he was one of those people that will always say, if a woman calls the police on me, oh yeah, I never finished that thought. If a woman calls the police on me, then I'm not going to be with her, or she's basically talking junk on women that call the police on men. But the kicker is, it would be men that needed the cops called on them. Like, it's not like, oh, you told me it's over, I'm calling the cops on you and I'm gonna make up a story. It's not that type of situation, because then I could kind of understand. No, I don't even want to get into that, because I feel like I would have to explain or break it down too much, and I just don't. This video is already going to be long as it is. But I left out the house. I didn't have on no I didn't have a wig on. I think I had a bonnet on. No bra, no shoes, no glasses, no keys, just my cell phone. I ran out the house, and it just so happened that like I had just started a job close to the house, and I was a manager at a store that was by the house, and one of the ladies I was, cool with or close to at the time, lived on my street. She lived all the way at the end, so I ran. Like adrenaline had kicked in at that point. I ran to her house because I felt like I didn't have anywhere to go, and I'm not trying to fuck around with my phone because I was running for my life, literally. So I get to her house and I'm like banging on the door, and it's late. Her husband answers the door, and I'm like, can we please call the police? He just tried to take me out of here. I said other words, but I'm trying to like keep from repeating certain trigger words because YouTube be tripping. And I want the video to at least stay up. So my friend comes to the door. She's like, what's wrong? What happened? So I'm like, trying to tell her, what happened. And she lets me come in the house, and we call the police. And so the police come. The police came, and they were giving very much victim blaming type energy, and I told them the situation that happened. And I know that, at least this is what I thought back then, as a police officer, you got to get everybody's side of the story, whatever. So I'm telling them what happened, and I'm trying to show them like my neck and my arms and stuff because this man pushed me down the steps. He did a lot of stuff. And I was like, I don't know if I have bruising just yet because, I'm a dark skinned girl. I'm a little bit dark. You might not be able to see anything at the time because it had just happened. So they looked at me. I can't remember if they took pictures of me. I think that they might have took pictures. I don't remember. But they took my statement. And in this time, I didn't know this at the time, but in the time that, I had called the police and the police had came, this man had left the house. He left the house, but he left the house after his brother came and picked up the pew for him. So that means he had called his mother and he called his brother, the brother that was also our landlord at the time, and the brother came and picked up the pew. So if the cops were to search the house or to search his person, there would be no pew, right? Keep that in mind for later. So, his mom obviously had been blowing my phone up because I had several messages from her, and I didn't know right at that moment, and I didn't know until after I had got back to my friend's house to check my voicemail, because that's when I figured out my phone was dead, broke, whatever. It was broke, not dead, it was broke. But I could still check, you can check your voicemail. So he had left the house. His brother had came to pick up the pew, and then he ended up coming back to the house because the cops had escorted me from my friend's house back to my house at the time so that I could get my keys, some shoes on my feet, like a little jacket, get some of the stuff I need so that I could go. I spent the night, ended up spending the night at my friend's house that night. So the cops come. And for whatever reason, I felt really weird about being in the back of a police car because they offered to ride me down, but I was just like, can I just walk back to the house? They were literally following right behind me in their car, but I just couldn't get in the back of that car. I couldn't get in that police car. So we get to the house. He's still not there. The cops come in with me. They got their flashlights. They're checking everything out. And I was able to find my stuff. And as we're getting ready to leave, he's pulling back up with his brother. Brother pulls off, and he sits down on the porch. And I think he was on the phone with his mom. So the police are asking him, what happened or whatever. They asked him if he was armed because I said he had a gun. He's like, she's crazy. I don't have a gun. I never had a gun. I don't know what she's talking about. Trying to literally gaslighting me in front of the police. And trying to make it seem like I was crazy and I was lying and I was just mad because we broke up. So they ended up arresting him. because they could see that my neck was like a little bit swollen. I had some scratches on me or whatever. So they arrested him. He ended up getting out the very next day on his own recognizance. I think that's what it's called. But he didn't come back to the house. I went back to the house the next day. Like I said, I ended up spending the night at my friend's house, and I checked my voicemail. I couldn't even call my mom. His mom was calling me though, and she had left several messages for me to call her back. Please call her back. She's worried about me. And I didn't call her back till the next day because I had to go get me a new cell phone. I had to go to my job the next day and explain to my boss what happened because I was trying to quit that day. Like July 4th, I was trying to quit because I'm like, yo, I just had this crazy situation happen. And I can't focus on this job right now. Like I have to move out. I had a lot of things going on. And so the place that I worked, they are notorious for overworking and underpaying their employees. Shout out to y'all. So my boss, even though she was like slightly concerned about me, she was more so like, Cece, you can't quit on me. Please don't quit. Just take a couple days off. Get yourself together and then come back. But please don't quit. I need you. Because I was the only other manager. It was her and me, basically. And everybody else was just like, regular employees. So she was a piece of work. Like I really thought that I thought higher of her than what I should have, because she ended up, apparently there was somebody who was interested in me that she knew, and he would always come in to my job and like be checking me out, wanting to talk to me, but he never said anything, and I wasn't paying attention to no dudes because I'm dealing with life, And she ended up, I didn't even find out till months down the line, because we did end up, talking or whatever. But this woman told this man all of my business. She told him everything. And to me, it was like, what if I didn't want him to know? What if I wanted to be the one to tell him? What if I, you know what I mean? And you just told him everything and made it like into a charity type of thing. Like, oh, just take her out, show her a good time. She needs that after what she's been through. Like, what, ma'am? So that's, whatever. So needless to say, I didn't end up quitting then. I did end up quitting down the line because of that job and that company as a whole. But yeah, I ended up not quitting. I just took a couple of days off because I had to get out of that house. He wasn't there. He ended up staying at his mom's house. He came to the house when I wasn't there, and I guess he was trying to use his mom to figure out when I was and wasn't at the house. We also had cameras there on the inside and on the outside of the house that was video and audio, so he could also check that to see if I was there. So he came back one of the times that I wasn't there and picked up some clothes and was staying at his mom's house, so he could still go to work and do all of that and whatever, still get his son and all of that. I was staying at the house because his mom told me he wasn't going to come back. The police told me he wasn't allowed to come back to the house while I was still there, which I was grateful for because I was kind of scared, but I'm like, where do I go? And in my head, I don't know why then I wasn't thinking, call your people for more than one reason, not just to help me in that situation, but to really help me in that situation, because there was no reason for that man to do what he did to me. There wasn't. Part of me was embarrassed, and I again was isolated from my family and some of my friends because I was in that toxic relationship for so long. So there would be nights I would go to work, and when I would get off work, I would just sit in my car for hours. I didn't want to go in that house because I was just like, there's cameras in there. I don't really want to be recorded. I felt like it was an invasion of my privacy. So eventually I unplugged all the cameras because fuck, this is my house too, currently, at that time. So I'm like, you don't get to watch me. You don't get to listen to my conversations. So I unplugged everything. And I guess that made them feel away because there would be times where I'd be in my car and I would see him drive past the house. I don't know if to see if I was there or whatever, but he would drive past the house. So all of these things like took place over the span of a couple of months, and I think the whole entire court situation took like over a year before it was done. It might not have taken a year. I don't remember like the exact dates for when things were over, because again, that was like a really traumatic time for me. But I do know that I began looking for a place, and I'm like, this is taking too long, and I know I'm gonna have to leave soon. So I start packing up me and my baby stuff. It was just me. So I'm packing up me and Ruby's stuff, and I ended up getting a storage unit because I didn't have an apartment at the time and there was nowhere else for me to put it. So I would make trips. I would go to work, make trips from the house to the storage unit, and do it like that. And I want to say either the first hearing, it was one of the times after we had court, his brother ended up coming to the house and was like, yeah, no, let me not jump ahead, because I believe that there was a reason why that happened too. But yeah, I would be in that house. I was so depressed, doesn't even seem appropriate, because it was just so much deeper than that for me. Like, that was probably the lowest I've ever been in my entire life. Like, I couldn't even cry anymore. It was just like, I can't believe this is my life right now. I can't believe that happened to me, So, I did end up having a conversation with his mom. I don't remember what it was about, but I was kind of like over her, because again, they coddled him. His dad, like, everybody had something negative to say, and they were like borderline asking me, well, what did you say and what did you do? And I'm like, are y'all for real? Y'all know that this man has a history of this. Y'all knew that he had a history of doing this, and you're asking me? Y'all watched our relationship. Y'all knew that I was very docile. I really didn't like confrontation then, so I was not a violent type. That wasn't me. I was never one of those women that would call a man out of his name, or just calling the cops just cause, or picking fights and stuff. Like, that was never my thing. Like, that's just not, I didn't get into that then, and I don't get into that now. So some of this stuff is like a little bit blurry, but to kind of get through the rest of the story, I remember I had just reconnected with an old friend of mine who used to date his brother. Now, I'm not going to get too much into that because that's not my story to tell, it's hers. You know what I'm saying? And these are our real lives. Like, this stuff really happened. So, I felt like I didn't even have time to make a plan or anything, but I remember her telling me, girl, you need to make sure you're taking pictures and, give them to the DA so that you have proof that, of what happened. Because he was not, and I don't know why in my head, I thought that he would go in there and be like, yeah, I did it. And I'm like, I don't know why that was in my head. I'm very much right is right, wrong is wrong. I don't care if it's my mama. I don't care if it's my child. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Period, point blank. So because I that's the way that I operated, I kind of figured that they would be, like, I knew he wasn't going to go and just be like, yeah, put me in jail. No, obviously not. But like, the way that this situation rolled out, like, I did not expect that at all. So I guess let me stick to the key points. I took pictures. Now, I've always been a girly that keeps her nails done and all of that. So some of the pictures I had one set of nails in, and I'm telling you this because it's important. And then in some of the other pictures I had other nails, like my nails was a different design. So I took the pictures, got them printed out, and I ended up giving them to the DA one of the mornings we had court. I never missed a court date. And I was there, I was present for every court date, because one thing about it, you're going to pay for what you did to me. That's how I felt. Like, you need to be in jail, because not only did you try to take me out of here, you've also been extremely violent with other women previously, and you just think that it's okay. So, that particular time, the court hearing ended up getting postponed because I didn't know a lot about how the justice system worked or how court hearings and stuff worked. Like, I didn't know. So his lawyer, had a right to review the pictures and get his questions together for cross-examining me and all of that, because I had to testify, do all of that. And I didn't know that. So the judge postponed the hearing so that his lawyer could look at the pictures and all of that. So I'm going to kind of get through the rest of this video, I'm going to kind of fast forward some stuff, rewind a little bit, fast forward, just so that everything makes sense. His lawyer ended up watching or looking at the pictures or whatever, and when we had court again, tried to make it seem like I was lying because my nails were two different designs in the picture, and was really forcing it, saying you're only doing this because y'all broke up. Is that true? And I had never been questioned or none of that. I had never been to court for myself. I had never experienced that. So I'm like, what? Lying? I've been that. Even the DA was he said to the judge, he said, who comes to every court hearing, every single one, and on time, if they're lying or they just want revenge against the ex? Who does that? Right? So I feel like I'm leaving so much stuff out, but I'm really ready to not talk about this anymore. But yeah, I had gotten a storage unit or whatever, and I remember one time after court, I was so angry because this man had got on the stand. Before he even got on the stand, his mother and his mother's husband, I will never forget this shit because it totally took me back. I get to court and they're sitting there and they get up and walk over. Well, the mom didn't get up. His mom didn't get up. But his mom's husband got up. And he had just gotten out of jail. So he walks over to me and he's like, yeah, you might as well just drop the charges, or why don't you just drop these charges, Cece? You don't want to see another black man go to jail, do you? Come on, this is pointless. Y'all done been together. And mind you, he wasn't there. He had just gotten out of jail. So to me, it's how dare you? I'm getting ahead of myself. But he's like, yeah, just drop the charges. Let's just end this right now. You don't want to see another black man go to jail. And something in me just snapped. Do you hear me? It was giving very much, how dare you say that to me when, one, you weren't there, you don't know what happened, you know what he told you, which was probably a lie, and we'll get into that here in a minute, and you know what your wife told you, which who knows what she said to him, right? And all I could think about when he said that shit to me was, who was going to take care of my daughter if that man took me out of here? Would anybody be concerned about that? Because he had also mentioned, he was like, he got a son, he's trying to raise a son, and you don't want to see him in jail. And I'm like, I didn't say this at the time, but in my head I'm thinking, you want me to think about just his son when I have a child of my own that nobody would seem to be concerned about? That who was going to take care of or be there for or break the news to if that man would have took my life? Who was going to tell my family if that man would have took my life? The fuck? Oh, baby, that set me on fire. And I just kept it cute. I did tell the DA, he just asked me to drop the charges. He's trying to get me to drop the charges because it pissed me off. And the DA was like, I don't remember if he said something to the judge or whatever, but it was basically don't talk to her. Don't say anything else to her because that's not okay. So my ex gets up on the stand and he proceeds to lie and he tells them that there was never a pew-pew. I lied about the pew-pew, and that I was doing all of this to get back at him because he broke up with me, which I was already angry Look, I'm all hitting my flowers and stuff. I was already irritated and just over the whole situation because of what his mom and his mom's husband just tried to pull. And then you get up here clowning, playing all in my face. And he says that there was never a pew pew, and I lied about that. He then said that we got into an argument and I got mad because he had a new girlfriend. And I started getting violent, so he left the house. Now, as I said before, I've never been that type. I've never been like violent, like I'm gonna fight you, like especially to no dude, because you know what I'm saying. Like that was never my thing. And he said he left the house, and he said he went to the bar to have a few drinks, and he came back and the police was there. Now the kicker is, the whole funny part about this situation is that the bar that he said he went to was the bar that we had went to on several occasions for date night. The bar that he said he went to had been torn down for the longest time already. And I guess nobody did research or anything to double check his story because it didn't matter. It was just another DV case. But the bar that he said he went to had been torn down. So there was no possible way that he could have went to that bar. But he said he went there. And because I knew the bar was torn down, it made me even more mad. And so I just ended up going into the hallway and I just busted out into tears because the judge was like, oh, so talking to me saying, oh, this seems like you're trying to be a vigilante and you're trying to get some extra justice. Like, what the fuck does that even mean, first of all? You know, even the DA was like, Your Honor, come on, you know. I had to leave. And I was in the hallway, and at that moment, I just felt so low, and I felt like I didn't have anybody. And I just cried, but it wasn't like a regular boo-hoo cry. It was just like this agony. And I was embarrassed because there was people around, but I couldn't hold back because I'm like, this man is in here lying and playing in my face. Needless to say, to kind of shorten it up, the lawyer, I think I already mentioned that he tried to play and say, oh, you said you took these pictures around this time, but then you had 2 different nail designs, trying to make it seem like I was lying, but when in fact I just took the pictures at different times. So anyway, they ended up giving this man probation, I think maybe house arrest. And it was at that moment where I felt like the justice system failed me. Like, I did feel like I got some justice, which barely, none. But they gave that man probation, a slap on the wrist, and he almost took my life, bro. And I can't even describe how I felt. I just felt, I don't know, worthless, and like I had nobody. And it was a bad time in my life. And after that court hearing, I went back to the house. I was, still packing and trying to get me and Ruby stuff out. I hadn't found an apartment. Like I said, I was going to the storage unit, dropping our stuff off. And his brother pulls up after a couple hours. I think they had asked me when I was going to be out, and I said I needed a little bit more time or whatever. And his brother ended up coming later on that day and was like, I need you to leave so I can change these locks. You said you was gonna be done and I gotta change these locks. And I'm just like, for real? I'm still crying. I'm just crying because it was a lot. And I felt the way like, sir, the amount of things that you've said about me throughout this whole situation and indirectly done to me, like that's a story time for another day, but he had done things as well, not like abusive or anything like that, but like he participated in shit, like helping my ex cheat, giving him clothes to cheat while he told me he was working overnight, like just different things. And he tried to play in my face and be like, we was like family and this and this and this. And this all happened after, because again, I guess my ex had came in one of the times when I wasn't there, and he had set up some like audio. I don't know if it was video and audio or just audio, but he recorded one of my conversations when I was talking to my friend that used to deal with his brother. And I told her what had happened in court, how his mom and the husband tried to get me to drop the charges or whatever. And I was like, girl, guess what this bitch did? Da, da, da. Because in that moment, that's what she was to me. Period. That's what she was. And even my friend was like, oh my God, I can't believe that. Da, 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 da. You know, we're talking. He records this conversation and sends it to a couple members of his family. So no, they were not mad that, or even concerned about the fact that your brother just tried to take somebody's life unprovoked, because that's the key word. It was unprovoked. I didn't do anything to that man. Not for him to try to take my life. And even in that night, I didn't do anything to him. Nobody deserves that. But they were more mad about the fact that I said that their mom was a bitch than the fact that their brother tried to take somebody's life. So they're all calling me, cussing me out. His sister was trying to fight me. Oh, you're disrespectful. You know that my mom helped you out and did this and did that and this and this. And even though some of those things were true about their mom helping me and being there for me, she also played both sides of the fence a lot of the time. She also kept a lot of his secrets for him. She coddled him. She played a huge role as well. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, that's what you're really worried about? You want to fight me, but this man tried to take my life about nothing, and then lied in court, and then only got probation? You're fucking crazy. You're crazy. So needless to say, like, fast forward to 2023, I definitely don't deal with any of them in real life or in any capacity. I don't deal with them. I don't talk to them. They don't exist to me, because it was just disgusting how that whole situation went down. And how they tried to all gaslight me and play in my face like I wasn't the victim. And I was wrong for calling the police on that man. Like I should have just moved out and went on about my business. Like, huh? Was y'all... I don't even want to get into that. But yeah. That is... I'm trying to make sure I didn't forget anything. This video is already super long, but that's pretty much the story time of how that man tried to unalive me, tried to take me out of here, and was unsuccessful. And it's crazy because this is around this time, like probably a year before this happened, I had really got into my spirituality in like 2017. I have always been interested in spirituality, the occult, alternative things outside of just like, regular religion, because I grew up in the church. But I always been interested in those things. And once I got to massage therapy school in 2011, 2012, it kind of broadened my horizons a little bit more. Like I got into crystals and crystal healing and things like that. But in 2017, I had really got into readings and honoring my ancestors and a lot of things that I low-key felt like at the time I had to keep under wraps, because to them, it was demonic, it was of the devil, which is so crazy that me honoring my ancestors, me seeking knowledge, me trying to find a higher understanding for life and to, do shadow work on myself and figure out my triggers and my traumas, because clearly I had a lot of them in order for me to stay in this toxic situation for so long. That was evil and demonic, but him trying to take me out and, putting hands on me and saying the worst possible things that you could say to a person, unprovoked, was not evil or demonic. But I digress. So, I had just gotten into, really dived into my spirituality, and a year before this happened, I had gotten a reading from, someone who later on down the line became like a spiritual mentor to me, and she told me in this reading, she was like, flat out, get the fuck out. You need to leave. You need to get out of this situation, or you're going to end up like the lady off of Diary of a Mad Black Woman. And she just kept saying it. You need to get the fuck out. And I was just taken aback, like, oh my God, I can't believe she's saying this to me. But I mean, it was true. I needed to leave. But she said to me, she said, but you're not going to leave. You're going to try and keep your family together. Watch, mark my words. She was like, you're not going to leave. So a year later, damn near to the date, this situation happens. And I ended up getting a reading from her along down the line, and I told her what happened, and we got into that. And she didn't know that it was going to be like that. She didn't think that it was going to be how it was, basically. But yeah, when the brother came to change the locks, I left, mind you, I left so much stuff. I left majority of my things there. Like, I took mainly me and my baby's clothes. I still left some clothes there because I just felt like I didn't have enough time to go through the whole house to get every single thing. Some of that shit I didn't even want. I just didn't care. And I was moving things in my car by myself back and forth to the storage unit while still going to work. And I was working long days. Some days I was working 10 to 12 hour days, still trying to do all of this by myself. So when the brother came, I just packed up one last load of stuff. I had gotten majority of Ruby's stuff, but I left furniture, dishes. Like, I left a lot of things because it was just like, I either didn't want it, I didn't have a way to really move it realistically. Like, at the time, I couldn't afford a truck because I had been paying damn near all of the bills in the house except for, like, I didn't pay the whole rent. He would pay his half of the rent, but I paid everything else. And it's so crazy to the point where I ended up, like, when I left that situation, I ended up with utility bills with a super high balance because I was paying and struggling to pay them by myself. And he even told me this one time that his mother told him that if he ever moved in with a woman or a female or whatever, to make sure that he never got any utilities in his name for that reason. So if they ever broke up or if things went sour, he wouldn't have to worry about the balance. And that's what he did. Crazy, right? So yeah, the brother came and I just put like the last couple things in my car, and he was still trying to, we was like family and you didn't have to act like that and this, and I just started crying. And I left after that. I was just like, whatever. Like, they were really mad that I said their mom was a bitch. But that's how I felt in that moment. And I stand on that. Because for you to be playing both sides of the fence already with other situations and then this situation as well, never held him accountable, coddled him, and then asked me if I could drop the charges, knowing, and she knew what he did because right after he did that shit, he called her. He called her and he called his brother because his brother was the one that came to pick up the pew-pew. So, I got in my car and I just cried all the way to the storage unit, and I ended up going to my mom's house. And I didn't even want to sleep inside my mom's house. Like, I did for a couple of nights, but I had been applying for places, and luckily one got back to me shortly after. So I was only at my mom's house for a couple of days, but I would just be in my car. That became my place of peace, and I just cry and reflect and just this is how things really ended. And it's crazy because I would have never seen it coming because, mind you, Crazy and me started off as friends. We were really good friends. At least I thought we were really good friends. And I allowed myself to take it way further than what I should have, listening to other people. But I was young. And again, I got to take accountability because people can say what they want, but it's up to you. You are the one that makes the decisions. And, it was what it was. And that's what it was. That's the end of this story time. I ended up moving out and becoming this vibe that you see here today, baby. And I'm grateful that I am who I am today because I could not be here to tell the story. And a lot of people, not just women, because there's men that go through stuff like this too, and it's not really spoke about a lot. But I could not be here right now to tell the story. Some people don't make it to tell the story. Some people had, and it's not a competition, but there's some people that, had worse things done to them. Throughout the course of that relationship, he had done other things to me, sexually, mentally, emotionally. Like, there's a lot of things that happen, but just for the sake of getting to what I want to say now that the story time is over, like, there was a lot of stuff that happens, and I'm grateful that I'm here today and that I am who I am. Again, I did not know if I was ever going to tell this story publicly because I'm still very much a private person. But today, as I sit here, I'm not embarrassed. I'm not ashamed that he did that. I don't feel like me telling this story is going to make other people treat me that way, because I'm very much fuck around and find out these days. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it needs to be talked about. Domestic violence is swept under the rug, and even if, you know, the abuser has charges brought against them, a lot of times they're dropped, whether that be because of the victim not cooperating, or, you know, they just get a slap on the wrist because they didn't actually take you out of here. You know what I'm saying? Which is, it's crazy to me. But I didn't know if I was going to talk about it publicly, but after watching Bondi's video, something in me just was like, it's time to shed light on it. Only a few people that were around me, or that I chose to like let in, know about the situation. A lot of people, like my brothers and a lot of my, because I have brothers, like a lot of brothers, and they were mad, like, why didn't you tell us? Why didn't, you know, my uncles on my dad's side, why didn't you tell us? You know, I would have caught a flight. You know, I would have, you know what I mean? And it was kind of like, you know, I was embarrassed. I didn't want people to know. I felt like I could handle it on my own. I didn't want people in my business, which that is some BS to a certain extent, because again, you don't got to tell everybody. Everything ain't for everybody, but in situations like that, tell somebody in the safest way possible. Like, there's no relationship, friendship, situationship, there's nothing that is worth your life. You get one of those as, you know, the person that you are. You only get one. And there's nothing that's worth losing that. That's not love. It's not cute. It's not anything it's not a flex. Oh, I'm a ride or die. That's not a flex. Like, it's literally not a flex to know that somebody is being abusive to you and you're taking it because of the sake of history, or because, oh, we got kids, so I'm gonna just, you know, stick this out. And a lot of people were taught that, like, oh, you know, grandma stayed with granddad for 60 years. Yeah, but grandma was getting her ass whooped by granddad, and that's not okay. That is not okay. And if you know me now, I'll cut somebody off quick for way less. Because one thing you're not going to do is disrupt my peace, step over my boundaries, disrespect me. We're not even going to get to the point of putting hands, because this is just not that. Today's CC is not yesterday's CC. And to be real honest, I can't control how my ancestors is going to defend me after that. Let's just be very real. Like, I can't control how they choose to defend me. I've always been divinely guided and protected, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful for my ancestors and for the Creator, because they were definitely watching over me that night, and many others. And I can just me removing my presence, you'll feel a difference. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a good person, and I didn't deserve that. So, you know, from one woman to another, from one domestic violence survivor, because I don't even look at myself as like a victim in that aspect anymore. I don't look at it as like, oh, woe is me, or oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, I don't look at it like that no more. You know what I mean? Like, I've dealt with that situation through, not just through therapy, but I've done my shadow work, spiritual work, you know what I mean? But from just, maybe I should just say, from one person to another, you don't have to stay in that situation. Don't ever let nobody make you feel like you're less than worthy, like you're not worthy, like you deserve that. I don't care what's going on. It's not cute. You don't have to be somebody's punching bag. Like there's it's just not worth it. You don't have to stay in that situation. And especially if you have children, if you're not going to do it for you and you have children, do it for your children. That's what you should be doing for your children, not wanting to stay in an abusive situation on the strength of the kids. Make that make sense. You'd rather your children, because even if they're not old enough to like really process what's going on, they can still feel that energy. They can still hear the arguments. They can still feel when something's off in the house. And that's crazy to me. So you will allow somebody to disrespect and totally shit on your boundaries, you know, make you feel unworthy, you put their hands on you, amongst other things, for the sake of what it looks like to outsiders who most of the time don't even give a damn what's going on with you for real, negative. I know everybody's situation is different. But don't stay there. That is not love. It's not. Like, it makes me think about when we were kids, when the little boys would hit you or something, and your parents or some other dumbass adult would be like, oh, they're just doing that because they like you. And that became a thought process. Oh, he's just hitting me because he loved me. Oh, he's doing this because he loved me. No, baby, that's not love. That person doesn't even love themselves. Like, I don't know. I don't want to get too far off on a tangent because I don't even know how long this video is. It's like an hour and a half. I can't, the camera's too far away from me to see. But I just, that was on my heart to put my energy out there, put this video out. And I'm not embarrassed. I don't feel like it's any slight to me, because in that situation, it was done to me. I was the victim. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not scared. I don't fear anything. I don't have to. And that's just straight like that. I went through a lot of things healing from that situation, but I'm grateful for the woman that I am today. I'm grateful that I'm here to tell the story. I hate to have to tell the story, but I'm grateful that I'm still here to tell that story. But yeah, never let somebody put their hands on you. That shit's not worth it. It's not cute. Like, oh, we got into a fight. It's cute. It's not cute. It's not cute. It's toxic. It's disgusting. And not even just for men hitting women. I'm talking about for women hitting men also. Like, if you, man, woman, whatever, if you are not mature enough to communicate your emotions or your feelings without getting violent, like physically violent, then you have a problem and you need to get that checked out. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. I don't know, y'all, listen, when I used to do tarot readings and I felt like spirit was like speaking through me or whatever, my nose would get to itching like, baby. And this whole time my nose has been itching. So obviously there was a reason for me to put this video out. There was a reason for me to speak on it. Yeah. I feel like I'm one of the blessed ones. I'm one of the lucky ones that came out of that situation. And I emerged as a much better woman. Like, a lot of the things that I put up with in that relationship, I would never put up with that now. Like, I'm very much like, no, I don't even want to say that, but I have cut off people for even less things because now I value me. I value my time. Time is the most expensive currency because you don't get that back. You get money back. You can get people back. You can get, like, you know what I'm saying? You don't get your time back. And I understand that now. So no, you won't play with me. You won't play with my time. You won't play in my face. You will not disrespect my boundaries. And you don't have to let people do that to you either. I'm not saying that it's always, super easy for someone to leave. But let us all take some inspiration from the movie Enough and do what you got to do to get what you need to get or be where you need to be. Period. That's what it was that triggered me. I seen her review on that movie, and it was just like, there's some people that aren't willing, or there's some people that aren't able to get out of that situation, and they don't make it out. It's the other way around, and it's so sad, but it's avoidable. You don't gotta let people talk to you any type of way. Don't let people do you any kind of way, because that's where it starts. You let people do you any kind of way, and then it progresses from there. Don't let people do you any kind of way, talk to you any kind of way. You gotta value you more. And once that clicked for me, I haven't looked back since, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Like, I value me so much. I value my child and her experience in life so much that I would never, and have never, been in a situation like that ever again, because I'm me. Like, what? How I feel about me today? Never. Like, and I don't know, like, I don't know, it helped me to really love myself and to dig deep and find out what were these triggers and childhood wounds and traumas that I held on to, generational curses. People saying or teaching their children dumb shit is how generational curses get started. Letting your children see the dumb shit, that's how they get started. And I broke them. There's no room for error when it comes to my child. And that's not to say like I'm a perfect parent, you know what I mean? But my baby knows what's up, you know? I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling, but yeah, you don't have to stay. Get out of that situation. Do what you gotta do because it's possible. You don't have to endure that. That's not love. I know I keep saying it, but it's literally not. That person needs help. Like, if they can't verbalize their feelings without wanting to put their hands on you, that's a problem. We're all adults here. Most of the time it's adults, but there are teenagers that deal with domestic violence, unfortunately. But yeah, I think that is going to wrap it up for this video. I was going to, outside of the law of assumption video, I literally was going to talk about something else, but that triggered me, baby. And I was like, oh, I got to get this off my chest. I don't know. So I can't say that I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope and it is my intention that it reaches whoever it needs to reach. It is my intention that I help whoever it is that may need help. If you are one of those people that feel like you have nobody, check again. If you are one of those people that really don't have anybody, send me a DM. Send me an email. Because nobody deserves that. PSA, nobody deserves that. Yeah. The next video, I done already lit my freaking Palo Santo, because that was most definitely heavy, and y'all know I don't really get that heavy in my videos. But the next one, it won't be heavy. Probably none of my videos will ever be like super heavy like that. Yeah. The next one will be much lighter, I promise. Go check out my law of assumption video. Leave a comment down below if you can relate. Leave me some love down below, whatever it is. Keep it cute though, because the block party can get popping, if you know what I mean. So yeah, yeah, I think that's it. That's all I really wanted to say. The next video will not be this heavy. It might even give you a little kiki. But yeah, I love y'all. If you made it all the way to the end of this extremely long video, I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you so much for the support. I'm trying to make sure that's all that I want to say. Yeah, that's it. I need to go take me a little toke or two and cleanse the energy so I can get back to my love and light and all that other shit, because that was very heavy and I don't like that energy around me. So I'm about to cleanse. It's Saturday. It's Saturday, might do a return to sender, might do some protection work. You feel what I'm saying? You know, it's a good day to do those things. When this video is uploaded, it's probably going to be like early Sunday morning. What time is it? It's 10:43. That is my number, and that is confirmation 143. If you know, you know. But yeah, I love y'all. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. I appreciate it. Click the like button. I hope that this helps somebody. If I even if it's only one person, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Subscribe to the channel. Check me out. Be on the lookout for new content.